Hello and welcome to 81 All Out. This is your host, Siddhartha Vaidyanathan, and I would like to thank you for taking the time out to listen to this podcast. We are a crowd-funded endeavor, and you can support us at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/81 All Out to keep the show going.
In the air, Siraj takes it. India win.
He'll come back for the second. India have won the test match. India have won the series.
They're going to get back for two. India home. Lords goes wild.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the 81 All Out podcast. This is Siddhartha Vaidyanathan at Sidvi on Twitter. And we're here today, the regular crew, to talk about the fourth and final test of the India-England series that India won by an innings and 25 runs and took the series 3-1 and also qualified for the World Test Championship final where they will meet New Zealand. Perhaps at Lord's, perhaps at Southampton, Old Trafford. We don't know that yet. But exciting series. India lost the first test, came back in the next two. A lot of talk about pitches and the England's rotation policy, spin, batting, technique, everything. Just a big picture here. This pretty much ends the test season for India that they started with the tour of Australia. So 8 tests. They lost 2 of them, won 5 and drew 1. So tremendous achievement, especially given that, with COVID and all the things, attendant bubbles and everything that went there. Played 4 tests away, 4 tests at home in vastly different conditions. And also, what has come through is the depth in Indian cricket. If you look at the Adelaide test at the end of last year, you had a team that read Prithvi Shaw, Mayank Agarwal, Hanuma Vihari, Saha, Umesh Yadav, Bumrah, Shami. Basically, none of these guys played in the final test that just finished. So India pretty much put out 2 or 3 different teams, you could say, through the series. They could pick from nearly 20, 25 players and still managed to do exceedingly well. You had Axar Patel came in to the second test in the series and then ended up with 27 wickets. Mind-boggling, achievement if you think about it. Of course, he got pitches that were conducive. He had the pink ball in the third test. But yeah, given everything, I thought the depth in Indian cricket really came through. And even in this test with the batting of Pant and Washington Sundar, again, two cricketers who didn't play in Adelaide, but came into their own through the course of the 8 tests. So with that, again, this was another 3-day test, by the way. Unlike the previous one, it didn't finish in 2 days, just went one more day. But there was not really that much talk about the pitch. The red ball seems to have behaved the way you would expect the red ball to. And England were outplayed completely in all departments. India's spinners, outstanding. India's pace bowlers too. Siraj had a great test, I thought. So yeah, let's bring in the regulars here. Ashoka, Mahesh and Kartikeya. All of them on Twitter. All of them I'll link their handles. Kartikeya writes a regular Substack. He updates his Substack quite regularly with some insightful posts. So, hey Ashoka, how are you, man?
Yes, hello, man. Finally, we have gotten through end of the test series and test season. 80 days, 8 tests. Beat Australia, beat England. Great feeling. I don't think.
So you're saying real cricket can begin now?
Yeah. I am just glad this is over. I can't take it anymore. I have pretended for 80 days and it's over. Finished. Let's start IPL. Let's worry about how to beat Mumbai Indians. Let's all laugh at 33 crores that RCB spent on 2 cricketers. Let's go back living our real life. Vaccines have come out. So let's put all this test cricket nonsense behind us and, behave like normal human beings. But to be fair, 80 days, 8 tests, England or Australia. Though fair enough, England we played England at home. So that was not that that's not supposed to be that challenging, but still, given all your bio bubbles and whatnot, I think it's a unique thing that has happened, and I don't think we will be seeing such a intense period of cricket for Indian cricket. I mean, in a long while to come. But the one thing that really, I mean, the big picture wise, one thing that really stuck me was whoever we pulled out of the hat kind of performed. I mean, with all due respect to Shahbaz Nadeem, he didn't, but the others, I mean, to a large extent, whoever we chose to be in the part of the 11 came out and did their jobs. And that's.
But just spare a thought for Shahbaz Nadeem. Of all the pitches to have played, and he played that test, and then after that, he was dropped. I mean, who is to say that he wouldn't have ended up with 25 wickets had he played the whole series?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the guy is like very, very good in the first class level. So there is no reason to doubt that he won't be doing well. But that speaks to the larger point is that speaks to the depth that this Indian squad has and that India has. And it's very scary to think what this team has morphed into. So the other day I was telling you guys, right? Like we have lost like 5 tests in the last 11 years at home. And 2 tests since Kohli has become captain. That is like crazy. We can't, I mean, India can't be beaten at home is like now become a statistical feature. Even if you take away the home filter, right? Like our win-loss ratio is like somewhere around 2.66.
2.66 in under Kohli, is it?
Yeah. So head and shoulders, I think we are the best test team in the world. So it's expected that we will win more than we lost, but given all the circumstances in the last 80 days, 3-1 and 2-1 is like a fantastic result, is what I would say.
The final test was a bit of a blur for me. I don't know how much was it my life or was the test match going at such a frenetic pace. It felt like this was a 2-day test for me. I don't know. Perhaps I didn't watch enough, or I was watching, but I was probably watching a lot more in the background. But personally, I enjoyed watching Ashwin bowl in this test. It was just fascinating to watch. I think that'll be the memory for me of at least this test. I think overall in the series, if you look at it, it's probably Axar Patel whose domination will be remembered for a long, long time. But last test, I think the way Ashwin bowled was so beautiful. I mean, he was challenging the inside edge and the outside edge from both angles. It's just I cannot believe that I'll see another bowler bowling at this level of skills and consistency for a long, long time. I mean, even if you look back in history, there'll be a handful of occasions where a bowler was operating at this sort of peak and people were able to watch it live. I mean, historically, not many test matches were also shown live. That's another problem. But even, let's say, starting from the 70s and 80s in England and Australia and for Asia, probably 90s, is when, every ball and every test match was live telecast for us. So you're going to pick a handful of such sort of peaks for bowlers, I think probably 10. So to have witnessed something like that was absolutely magical. I think that's probably the only thing that I'll remember from this test, like after a few years. It was a blur for me.
Well, firstly, I'm amazed that Mahesh didn't mention Rohit Sharma's brilliant 49. But
Rohit Sharma failed.
Yeah, couldn't even make 50.
Exactly.
Washington Sundar made 96 not out, man.
So come on, Kenny, let's not get started at the umpire's call straight away. Double negative, boss. 2 umpires call, please.
Anyway, India took 80 wickets in this series. They dismissed England twice in all 4 tests. Their first 20 wickets cost them 732 runs. The last 60 wickets cost them 793 runs. And, England couldn't match that. And so it's 3-1. Basically, it all turned on the fact that India had 2 spinners who were outstanding. I mean, if you went into a laboratory and, someone gave you specifications for the perfect bowler for these conditions, then you would manufacture Axar Patel. He's firstly tall. He can bowl 90 kilometers per hour, which is very fast for a finger spinner. And he can bowl long spells, and he's very accurate. I think he overpitched 3% of his deliveries in this series, which is an incredible figure. Even for someone as accurate as Ashwin, the figure is about 6%. And I think that's probably partly because he's so fast that, when he errs, he tends to err on the short side. And because he's so fast, he also gets a lot of leeway because firstly, the batsman can't run down the wicket to him. And secondly, unless it's wide, the batsman can't really cut him. So he's extremely accurate, extremely strong, can bowl long spells and bowls fast. And on these wickets where basically the idea is to keep bowling extremely accurately at the stumps for a left-arm spinner and let the pitch, produce variations for you. This is very, very effective. It's basically what Ravindra Jadeja has done for India for the last 5 years. And Axar Patel has done it just as well. And basically, England don't have anything like that. Shahbaz Nadeem, you mentioned Shahbaz Nadeem earlier. Shahbaz Nadeem is probably a better bowler than Jack Leach, and he can't get into the Indian side. So that's basically the difference. And there's a lot of blame being assigned to the English batsmen, but I don't think there's any set of batsmen. If you took Ashwin and Patel and switched them with Leach and Bess, and left the other 9 players the same, I think England would win the series. It's that simple. And I'll give you sort of an example of why that is the case, right? India's most successful batsman in this series, aforementioned Rohit Sharma, faced just under 600 balls. And he was beaten by the bowler 95 times and he was dismissed 6 times, right? Ashwin bowled 1,100 deliveries, over 1,140 something deliveries. And he beat the batsman 223 times. So right there, if you take like a very, very successful batsman, and it's hard to imagine a batsman being more successful than Rohit Sharma in these conditions. He made over 350 runs and so on, right? If you take the most successful batsman, he's still less than half as effective as Ashwin. Like if you think of a test match as a contest where each side's bowlers are attempting to create uncertainty and each side's batsmen are attempting to survive uncertainty, then basically the most successful batsman is less than half as important as the most successful bowler, which is Ashwin. Right. So basically, there is no amount of tinkering you can do with the batting on the England side to overcome that handicap of not having one bowler, because they just cannot enforce any pressure for a sustained period of time. And that's one of the reasons why the Indian tail has wagged so much. That's why all these people are coming in at 6, 7, 8, 9 and making runs. Because by then the bowlers are tired and they just don't have the quality from both ends to finish, to get 10 wickets cheaply enough.
This is kind of the reverse of what happened in 2018 in England. Like they had an endless batting supply, and just when our bowlers were tired, Sam Curran went and made like 40, 50. And what looked like a close battle till then kind of tipped scale because the last 5 batsmen made like 80, 90 or 120. And that became the crucial difference. Like that kind of killed the game. So that I think happened in reverse here. So I think you're right. Even this match, you see, it was well balanced till the 6th wicket fell. England's 6th wicket in the first innings fell at 166. Ours fell at when it was 140 something. So they were actually ahead in like 1.5 days. Then after that, we went and made another 200 runs in the last 4 wickets that we played. So because first of all, they couldn't bowl Dom Bess for reasons I don't know this confidence reason, but when you pick a bowler, you ask him to bowl. That's about it. And secondly, they built a statue for Ben Stokes for getting tired. And while they were busy doing all this, I think Indian batsmen went ahead and got 200 runs. And that kind of became the final difference. Like we had 25 more runs at the end of, the match. So I kind of agree with what Karthikeya was saying, that they were quality bowlers were on short supply, and B, I think the bowlers that were quality were overbowled. And when it came time to, kill the innings, they couldn't, and I think that ended up being the difference.
I sort of agree with that, but I think I would say that the analogous tour of India to England to this one is the 2014 tour, because there also sort of the English bowling was vastly superior to the Indian bowling in 2014. In 2018, I don't think that was the case. I think in 2018 it was the case that England just had a deeper lineup than India did, and basically India's tail started at 9 or even 8 at times, and England's tail didn't start until like 11 in some innings. And that was a big difference because India created as much uncertainty as frequently as England did in 2018. But this was not the case in 2014. And on Bess, I don't think the England are wrong to not trust him because he just has no control of length. He's a nightmare for any captain. And it's not like, ultimately, I understand that, people are all like, oh, well, he's 23, help him out. But who cares? We're trying to explain why the contest finished the way it did. And the contest finished the way it did because, they have one bowler who can't land it where he wants to about 20% of the time.
That makes no sense, right? Then that makes no sense why he's in the 11. He shouldn't be in the 11, I think.
But he is in the 11 because they haven't got any other options. They don't. On paper, I saw the Cricinfo squad listing and they have that bowler Amar Virdi, and he's also sort of rated very highly. And he's available for selection according to the COVID rules because he's in the bubble.
By the way, Amar Virdi is an off spinner.
Off spinner. So great. I don't know why they didn't play him.
I thought they could have played Broad. Why go for a spinner when,
But that's what they did in the previous test, and they got a lot of flack for it, right? Even someone like Nathan Lyon made fun of it, right? They went with three fast bowlers. That's all there is to say about it.
But no, I think they Broad could have been a great asset in this pitch because we saw how good Siraj was, and Broad is someone who has 500 wickets. I think he could, if not for wickets, he could have bought a greater level of control for Jack Leach at the other end. This is what I was thinking.
That's true. But basically, there are all sorts of questions you can ask about, oh, they should have selected this guy and that guy. But basically, they just didn't have the squad to compete here. The problem England have is that the only way to compete with India when they have these two bowlers, Patel and Ashwin, is to have two such bowlers of your own. And if you don't have those, basically, you're not going to compete.
Talking about the spinners, it's very, very hard to beat India in India. And it also speaks to a broader point about how, over the course of, the last 5 years, there aren't any teams that can come to India with spinners of this quality. You probably have, the one spinner maybe, who can come and do it. But teams don't have two. And I'm just looking at the averages from 2010 onwards, like bowling averages. And, among the top are all Indian bowlers. Of course, Axar Patel has just started, but, Jadeja is up there. Kuldeep has a very good average in India. You have Ashwin, of course. And then, all the other bowlers who are high up there are all retired now. Herath is gone. Ajmal is gone. Ajmal anyway would not have probably played in India even.
The other alternative, which actually I think was available to England until Archer got injured and which they might have considered, would be to play both Stone and Archer and, basically use them as like shock weapons to just try to blast the batsman out by bowling really as fast as they can. That's another way to go. And on these wickets, that may not be like the worst way to go. But then Archer got injured, and basically medium fast bowling, it's not that effective. James Anderson basically bowls back of a length, and he never bowls a bad ball, and so never gets hit. So as Rishabh Pant showed, either you try to take a chance against him, in which case you'll get a few exciting boundaries and then get out, or you try to survive against him, in which case you'll play him out and then give him a wicket or two once in a while. In the end, Anderson has a very impressive average in Asia, but he rarely gets more than 2 or 3 wickets in a test match. So that's like, he's getting 10 wickets or something in this series. I don't know how many wickets he has, but he's sort of not, he's not really he's not really a frontline attacking option for England in this kind of conditions. He's a
He's kind
very
of the Chaminda was who can hold it and not give
he,
away
he
runs.
gives he does what a holding spinner will do for any team in England or Australia in the first innings, and he's damn good at it. I mean, he's outstanding. It's hard to think of anybody else who could do what he does, but it's still not going to win them a test match. It's but they are going to blame like Crawley and Sibley and all these people. Apart from Bairstow, I think the rest of their batting is fine.
No, but Kartikeya, 8 wickets in 3 tests. I see what you're saying, but still 15.8 average. I mean, that's still doing a great job, right?
Yeah. It's a great job, but you need like 4 Andersons to do that job, and you're never going to play 4 Andersons because then your tail will start at 8.
Yeah, and if you play 4 Andersons, I think Ashoka will give up cricket in that immediate moment.
Hey, one itself I can't handle, man. What the hell, man? Stop this line of talk
the 4
immediately.
Karunanidhis of England.
Immediately stop this line of talking, please.
I still remember that. That was probably the greatest observation about cricket since 1994 or something like that. James Anderson is the Karunanidhi of cricket.
So we spoke a bit about Axar, but it's interesting that you say like laboratory built for these kind of pitches. I mean, people are saying India is preparing pitches, but now you're saying India is preparing bowlers. But on a serious note, can you talk a bit about what you have found, Kartikeya? You have done some digging and found some good stuff about bowling length length to bowl in India and what yields good results.
The sort of the gun spinner's length, which the greatest spinners hit about half the time, and in this series India hit about 50% of the time, in which England hit about 44% of the time. A big difference is between 13 feet and 17 feet. That 4-foot range is absolutely very, very hard to play against. England lost 20 wickets for 200 and something runs of that length. And Akshar Patel basically never overpitches. He overpitched 3% of the time, as I said earlier. And it's just the famous story, right, where the Indian batsman walked up to Murali Karthik in 2004 at Wankhede Stadium in the 4th innings and said, "We don't want any of your flighted stuff here. Just keep firing it again." And this is considered this used to be considered a really non-kosher way of bowling. Spin bowling was supposed to be out of flight and drift and what Ashwin does basically. And but Jadeja and Akshar Patel have shown that this other way is very effective. And they're doing what Kumble used to do in India. But Kumble was a wrist spinner, and these guys are finger spinners. But they're basically the same bowler.
Spinners, of course, had a big part to play in this series, but a bit on Siraj coming back. having a bit of a break and coming back and playing this test.
Yeah, he's a classic Indian fast bowler, right? In the sense that he's got a terrific domestic record to begin with, and even in his style, for instance, he's not too different from someone like Shami, for instance. And Shami or Umesh, these guys have a certain advantage of knowing how to bowl on Indian wickets. Let that be the length. The first thing is the length, and they get the ball to move both ways. Both with the new ball and with the old ball. And in the last sort of episode, you brought out the point that why can't we do something like what we did against South Africa? I think we didn't do anything different in terms of pitch preparation against South Africa. It's just that we had better fast bowlers, apart from having better spinners. That was like a double sort of blow for South Africa, right? You had India had better fast bowlers and better spinners for these conditions, and it was and better batsmen, of course. So that was just the perfect sort of confluence of all those factors. And this could have been another one if we had the full lineup. It's let's assume that India didn't have Akshar Patel, India didn't have any of the second spinners. It's quite possible if the fast bowlers were fit, we could have gone with Bumrah, we could have gone with Shami, Umesh, all of these bowlers would have been equally effective as well. I mean, it may not have been the same scoreline, but my point is the level of domination would have been very similar because these guys are also exceptionally good at bowling in these conditions. I mean, fast versus spin is one difference, but even the fast bowlers are far better in these conditions. And Siraj was just the perfect example. And the other thing about Siraj, even when he bowled in Australia, was it's very rare for an Indian fast bowler to come through the ranks and be able to hit the correct length on debut, right? It's like people generally take their time to adjust their lens and learn how to bowl on different wickets and stuff like that. He played first time in Australia and he was, he looked so ready to play Test cricket even then. And then you give him an opportunity in India where he's always bowled well domestically. It's no surprise that he had he nearly bowled what? He bowled a fewer overs, few overs lesser than Ashwin. For a fast bowler to get so many overs on that kind of a wicket when other two spinners are so potent, that tells a lot about how he was bowling and how much captain can trust him to bowl on those wickets.
And he was beating batsmen with pace. I mean, this is like, it's not like he was just beating them with swing and seam. It was also pretty clear that 146 that he got up in the first, the first day, it was clearly outwitting. I mean, clearly getting the better of them.
You saw after the series, Shastri gave that interview. He was like firing with all barrels, But he did say, he said, well, we told Rishabh Pant to lose weight, and I think he said something very, very specific. Like he said, I told Rishabh he needs to lose 5 kilos, and that suggests that, the Indian team, it is a very, very high quality team right now, but it also must be a really unforgiving competitive environment. It must be a really brutal environment to be in. And I'll tell you the speeds of all the bowlers. Ben Stokes is basically the slowest bowler on show. His average speed was 130 kilometers per hour, and his fastest ball was 142 kilometers per hour. James Anderson was quicker than Ben Stokes, but the second slowest bowler on show. His average speed was 133 kilometers per hour, and his high speed was 145 kilometers per hour. Ishant Sharma was slightly quicker, 134 kilometers per hour and 143 kilometers per hour. Siraj is in a different class. Siraj, Archer, Bumrah, and Stone are genuinely quick bowlers in this situation. Siraj's average speed is 136, and his fastest ball was 146. And Ollie Stone was the quickest bowler with an average speed of 140 and a high speed of 150. But Siraj is also bowling cutters from time to time, and he also bowls flat out. It's incredible how complete he looks. I don't know, the last fast bowler I saw in a test match to start his test career and look so complete, to have such ability to do so many different things well was probably Jofra Archer, in that Ashes series in 2019. And Archer, he had a phenomenal Ashes series. And, Siraj is right now basically, if Shami, Ishant Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah are fit, he's probably not going to play the World Test Championship final. I was listening to Mahesh just now, and he said he's a classic Indian fast bowler. And what a phrase, when I was in school, there was no such thing.
No, and you see the 146 and the 146.4, and then you're taken back to a time when, I certainly remember the time when Munaf bowled some ball at 135, and then the whole of India went mad that we have this fast bowler. This was in the early 2000s, and then twitch muscles and Dennis Lilly and everything.
But Zahir Khan bowling out, I think, Steve Waugh, and Irfan Pathan bowling out
Nairobi.
Gilchrist, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Irfan Pathan
bowling out. Munaf used to bowl 140s. When he started out, he used to bowl 140s.
But the whole buzz started when, I think they said he was bowling 135 consistently, not one ball, but 135 consistently. But, that was early 2000s, and that was probably a little more hype than and hope than reality. Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying the
I don't know.
distance that has traveled. But Munaf was a fine bowler, by the way. Nothing against Munaf.
Munaf Patel was a class bowler. I really
Yeah, Munaf was a terrific bowler.
I so wish he was like 12 years younger than he was. Like right now, he would have been a king of the world with this Indian setup, with this sort of help and preparation, and this assistance of physios and all this. He would have been. He had so much class. It's fantastic. I don't know what Mahesh thinks about Rohit Sharma. I think about Munaf Patel.
I used to think the same of Munaf. Like whatever I'm talking of Rohit now, I was equally like thrilled by watching Munaf. So the first time I watched Munaf was actually in I think BCCI President's 11 versus the New Zealand sort of tour game. The match was petering out to a draw, just like last 10, 15 overs or whatever. Munaf comes and bowls like a searing spell. He takes just 3 wickets out, 17 for 3 or whatever. The match was over, petered out to a draw. And the match was telecast live at the time. I was absolutely blown away by that spell. And then subsequently, he plays against England in one of the tour games. He picks up 10 wickets in that, and then goes on to make his debut, and he picks up 8 wickets or something on his debut, if I'm not wrong. Or in his debut series at least, Mohali, right? So he had a 10-wicket haul in the tour game, and then he comes in and does this. And even in West Indies, the series that we went under Dravid, he bowled quite beautifully. I mean, I am absolutely in 100% agreement with you that Munaf today would have been something in this kind of a setup, in this kind of an ecosystem where people are sort of managed better, their fitness is managed better, just the fitness knowledge overall in the team is so much better. I think he would have been deadly.
First of all, on behalf of all normal people, I think obsession with Munaf Patel, Rohit Sharma and all is like really weird. I think you two guys should be locked up in some padded cell somewhere. Please be normal. Please, our listeners are getting creeped out. Why are you obsessed with Munaf Patel of all people, man? What the hell is wrong with you guys?
While you were telling me that I am basically a robot and I have no heart and I am dispassionate.
Exactly. You should be delighted. You should be excited about Munaf.
I am concerned now because I think we have broken KD.
What an incredible bowler.
Yeah, I think we should do a Munaf Patel special pod, and then KD will become Ashoka, and then everything will reverse properly then. Yeah.
It's like really the dream Indian lineup is like, Ashwin bowling off spin and Munaf Patel and Jasprit Bumrah taking the new ball, and then I don't care who the fourth is.
This is a new dimension we have discovered of Kartikeya.
Maybe Kapil, but Kapil was before my time, and my memory of Kapil is like was one ponytail bowling medium pace.
Maybe Kapil, but definitely Munaf is now the new normal.
This is all terrible, guys.
And he didn't even mention Zahir.
Yeah.
I don't think Zahir Khan was that good.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, he was good. I mean, when he played, there was nobody better available. Nobody as good as him available. But that's not saying much.
Zahir Khan was better than Munaf Patel, man. Come on.
Naturally, because his record is better. But that's not the point. Yeah. When he came onto the scene, I was excited about Zahir for sure. But there was something about Munaf. I don't know I thought everybody had that about Munaf, but looks like only KD and I had this. What is this?
No. In West Indies tour to that 2006, Munaf was tremendous. I mean, he didn't take even one 5-wicket haul, but he bowled well enough to have, he could have probably taken 3. And on those pitches, those were pretty flat pitches, apart from the final test that ended up being a bowler-friendly pitch. But those tests were all on flat wickets, and he was tremendous.
Until he sort of, he lost his pace and lost some fitness and all. I mean, he had like this effortless control. He has so much class as a bowler.
Wow. Yeah, I think by now readers have given up already. Listeners have given up.
Our views for this, our reasons for this is going to be terrible after this. Munaf Patel fans, I will immediately stop listening.
This is not only Munaf Patel fans. Munaf Patel stans, these guys are. Anyway, Ashoka, you shared one statistic. You shared one list with us recently of Indian team's batting averages. I think after March 2019, yeah, basically in the last 2 years. And interesting, no? Pujara averaging less than 30 despite 950s.
Pujara does not have a test century in like last 29 innings. And forget test centuries, I think his average is less than 30. And when I just posted about this and people are like, no, Rahane for the last 4 years has been terrible. This is not a fixed deposit. Like you can't wait for 4 years for it to accumulate interest and then go and say, now I need returns. This is not how it is. If you take the World Test Championship, I think Rahane has had 1,000 runs and he has got it at an average of 45. And we can't at one point say these guys are facing world-class bowlers and then again say, why is the average so low? So if you're giving the same length of, same length of rope to Pujara, I think Rahane deserves the same scales. I don't think he has done that badly to deserve, to single him out and, say that this guy has to be dropped. One other thing I think is that these guys go to press conference and say random things like, I have scored runs when it matters. I don't understand that. What matters? I don't know when it doesn't matter. I mean, if you look at scorecard, you can again actually say, Washington's 96 didn't matter. He could have actually scored 70 and it would have still, he would have still won the match. So
Ashoka, that is KD's job, man. You can't take KD's job now. Saying things like scores when it matters doesn't mean anything and all that.
Yeah, it really does. It really doesn't. Except, my only thing is I will keep that scales on for Rohit Sharma. The rest of the people we have to treat rationally. I mean,
but the interesting thing about that list you sent me is that if you look at the balls faced, among all the batsmen that you sent, Rahane has faced the most balls. And Pujara for all... Yeah.
Rahane has faced... Yeah, correct. Rahane has faced the most balls and Pujara is like 50 balls less than him. For a number 3, that's a weird stat. No, he's scoring... So, on an average, what is happening is in the last 29 innings, you're getting Pujara scoring around 29 to 30 runs, but having faced 125 balls every innings. That's what it averages out to. So the value of having Pujara in your team is he will, in an innings, see off 20 overs, he will give you 29 runs. That's what is the value of Pujara to the Indian team over the last 2 years. That's what we are saying. If that's the case, I think even Rahane has made, for the similar number of innings or a little bit more, he's also batted 120 balls, dude. So, and he's averaging 45. So what the hell? I don't know.
No, Rahane's problem is not this current phase. Essentially, he had a fairly extended lean phase between when Karuna scored the 100, right? I mean, basically he replaced Ajinkya, and from then on, when he came back till the last West Indies series, he had a fairly lean run. And I mean, he was getting the 70s and 80s in England and Australia, but never really going on to make a big run. I think since then he's okay. I think since West Indies tour he's been okay. But it's just that, one, you have like a 20 test run like that or whatever, 22 test run like that. And then followed by now a little bit of a lean phase. But beyond all this, I think it's essentially the competition, right? There are so many good batsmen out there who are not getting a chance to play. So every time somebody goes through a lean phase, there's always room for a discussion about why don't we drop somebody? And that, I think that speaks purely about the depth of Indian cricket more than, whether Rahane is batting badly or Pujara is batting badly or whatever. I mean, Pujara has had his worst series at home, he's never had a series as bad as this, which can happen. But I don't know. Like, is there anything that on watching Pujara that you can read from this? I don't know. Like the first test, he batted quite beautifully. Perhaps
Can I blaspheme then? Can I blaspheme and say, if you remove the 254 not out from Kohli's repertoire the last 2 years, he's averaging 32. So there are people on the bench, so why not drop Kohli?
I don't mind that, to be honest.
I mean, you're telling Mahesh why not drop Kohli? He'll say, yeah, of course, go drop Kohli.
At least you'll get a better captain.
Okay, I think we are getting cancelled after this pod, so let's all go ahead and say whatever we want.
Okay, I don't know about this, right? The basic problem is right now that the great sin of all these Indian batsmen is that they are not Tendulkar, and like basically there is an expectation, like the Aam Janta on Twitter, like there are thousands of such people. They look at a statistic and they see a number under 50 in South Africa and Australia and England, and in any country in the world they see a number below 50 and on a number below 40, and they say flop. It's like they think like Tendulkar is like some guy, like every position in the top 6 should be a Tendulkar. It's not like that, man. You get one Tendulkar once every 50 years. You're not really going to get anybody that complete in again probably in the rest of the century. Okay, fine, maybe you get one, but that's about it. It's not a problem, yeah. I mean, you're not going to get like batsmen averaging 60 all the time, and you're more likely to get batsmen averaging 40, 45, which is what Pujara and Rahane are. And that means that they're going to have good series and then they're going to have bad series. I mean, Tendulkar had one spell of like 18 test matches between 2005 and 2007 where he averaged something like 33. The most batsmen who average 40, 45 are going to have like 3 or 4 such spells in their career. And they're still going to play 100 test matches. I mean, you look at the record of any player like, Andrew Strauss, Alistair Cook, Cheteshwar Pujara, any of these players, and that's what their record looks like. It's like it is the norm for a test batsman to fail. So the best, absolute greatest test batsman of all time have still succeeded only about half the time.
The absolute greatest test batsman in this particular series is unquestionably, you know who. By the way, talking about
Washington Sundar.
Rishabh Pant.
Rishabh Pant is close second, but Washington Sundar is the player that Karthikeya was referring to. Once in a 100-year player, he will come. No.
Boss, last 2 years, the same list that you sent, Ashoka, last 2 years, 17 innings, averaging 68.66. Okay,
Ooh.
400s, 250s.
I know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to say the name. I'm not going to say the name.
It's all like just slogging sixes from weak spinners, man. That's all.
But do tell us, Mahesh, if you, through the series, if you noticed anything different, if you felt that he was just batting the same, or you actually felt he was tighter. I genuinely felt that he was a bit tighter, and I didn't see anything. But yeah, what did you feel?
I mean, in terms of batting tighter, like if you look at Rohit's test career right through, compared to what used to be the baseline earlier, ever since he started opening, there's a very different. He's brought out a difference to his the way he defends primarily, and that's been obvious since the South Africa series. But the only difference is that, or I wouldn't even say difference. Basically, the way he's batted against South Africa versus the way he batted in Australia versus the way he batted against England in this series have all been dictated by the way he's read the conditions, he's read the opposition's strength, and he's read the match situation and played accordingly. Now, I mean, there are a couple of shots in Australia which can be, argued, but by and large, I think Karthik Krishnaswamy wrote a nice piece about we are yet to see the full range of Rohit, and that's so true, right? Like even in Chennai, there are 2 ways of analyzing that 160 that he scored, right? One, he was fortunate enough to open, as if he was the only opener in the test. And the second thing is he scored 80 of his runs in the first session when spinners were not bowling too much. But it is not a coincidence that he scored 80, right? It is a very conscious choice that he made, that I know the spinners are going to come on later. I know it's going to be harder to score against them. And it makes sense. It is a good percentage bet for me to go after the fast bowlers early on. Now, and he pulled it off. So, I don't see this specific series as different. Basically, since he's become an opener, he's got a very good mental map of what to play and what to leave. And I don't think he's defended as well before in his career, especially against the fast bowlers, where he plays with soft hands and the bat is still not quite vertical when he sort of makes contact. So and that I think that's been the big difference, but that's been there right throughout. So I don't see anything different. He's just always played according to the opposition's strength and conditions, and that's what we saw, except that the conditions are different in this one.
In the ball tracking data, I looked at bowler deliveries from spinners which are expected to hit the stumps, and how different batsmen perform against those deliveries. Joe Root, he makes on average 31 and 77 balls per dismissal of those deliveries. Virat Kohli makes on average 46 and 90 balls of those deliveries. Pujara makes 38 and 94 balls of those deliveries. Steve Smith makes 34 and 74 balls of those deliveries. Your man Rohit Sharma makes 74 and 127 balls of those deliveries. He's hit 13 sixes of balls which were going to hit the stumps. Nobody else comes close. Moeen comes close, but Moeen's also sort of slogging. Moeen on average is dismissed, makes 17 and 39 balls of those deliveries.
So this is in test matches in India, is it?
No, this is test matches everywhere. But
Okay.
Rohit Sharma's 508 balls in the database are mostly from India. I mean, Rohit Sharma is clearly an outstanding player of spin bowling. Mostly because he has ways to score against spinners, which do not involve sweeping from the stumps. He has other ways of scoring. One of the problems the England batsmen have had is that most of their ways of scoring against the spinners have involved sweeping from the stumps or reverse sweeping from the stumps. And that's like, there are too many ways in which you can get out from that if it goes wrong. Whereas Rohit Sharma tends to sweep only from outside off stump. So for example, he'll only sweep the off spinner when it pitches outside off stump, and he'll only sweep the leg spinner if it or the away spinner only if it pitches outside leg stump. Most of the time he's stepping out, and he's really good at that. I mean, he reads the length early, he gets in position early. He's always had that. He has a lot of time to play his shots.
I mean, we have now reached a situation where Anderson is being reverse swept over the slips and all. For
my only regret was that it didn't go for a 6.
I mean, second new ball, Pant basically just comes down the track with the very first ball, and then he hits like one outrageous shot that goes for 4 through point. I don't even know how to describe
No, two,
that
actually.
shot.
In fact, people talk a lot about the reverse sweep, but I was like blown away by that second shot, right? First ball, he hits down the ground, over mid off. The second one, it is so wide. He covers the line so well and goes and sort of hits through the covers. And then the following over, I think, was Stokes. And again, he plants his front foot forward and goes across, takes a ball from outside the off shin and whacks it through like mid-on. That was just him toying with bowling. That was just him. I mean,
that second shot reminded me a bit of the shot that Yuvraj used to play in one-dayers. He used to play that similar kind of shot to point. I mean, that region where he would be in a seemingly awkward position, but actually it was a perfect position to play such a shot. All this talk about Pant v Saha that we keep having every single time. I mean, I think it's going to reach a situation, and I hope it's going to reach a situation where he starts playing as a pure batsman. And, of course, his keeping improved through the series and he's been great and all that is fine. But, if he can play purely as a batsman and if that is going to help his batting even more, why not? Why not give that as an option in the near future, not necessarily this year or anything.
What near future? These guys have started drop Rahane, then they'll say drop Pujara, then they'll say drop Kohli. So you have 3 batting slots, right? Fit that guy wherever you want to, and then let him go mad at number 3 or 4 or 5. And then you'll have Washington Sundar, and then you will bring in who's the next one? Rahul Tewatia.
Washington Sundar actually might go the other way. He might open.
I mean,
at least his dad is ready.
Yeah, I think you should make his dad the coach of the Indian team. So at least our batting will get a boost.
Washington Sundar, did you guys see that stat from CricViz that they put out? He has like ridiculously low number of false shot percentage for the kind of attacking play that he's having. I mean, it's like almost some 12% false shot percentage or something, which apparently the average is 15. And here's a guy who's batting at a good clip, man. He's going after the bowling. I mean, I can easily see him opening the batting.
I really think that he needs some 3-4 years of domestic cricket and to come back into the squad. Primarily, if not for his batting, I think batting alone, I am not sure what kind of value that he's providing right now. Maybe with batting and a bit of spin, he might be in contention for one of Ashwin or Jadeja's place, as and when they kind of move on.
So you're saying he cannot. You're saying you will not pick him ahead of Vihari.
Not necessarily. I don't think so. I mean, I still think that there is we are seeing too few data points to make a case, and this might be extreme outliers. Like he may then have 7 or 8 straight innings of 5 to 10 runs or ducks. Then we'll be, in a place where we have damaged his confidence and then we have rejected a player, and that would be a long road back for him again. So best for him to go back to TN and work it out for a couple of years and then come back. It's just my opinion. I don't know. I mean, he may play the next 20 tests and he may be the next Sobers. I don't even know.
For a long time, the litmus test, for want of a better phrase, about batsmen in India was whether they could play fast bowling. And that meant whether they could. It looked like they were late on the ball against fast bowling. And as good as awesome as Vinod Kambli was, there were times when he was sort of late on the ball. And these guys like Rishabh Pant and Washington Sundar, these two guys, they are never late on the ball. They have an incredible eye. And Rishabh Pant takes a lot of chances, but he's got an incredible eye. It's like he's like Rohit Sharma. There's like this is not normal. This kind of ability, against fast bowling. Rishabh Pant and even Washington Sundar. And that's the difference between these two guys and Axar Patel. Because Axar Patel, I've seen Axar Patel be late on the ball. Because he has played one-day cricket for India and he's got out early, and these guys are. Ravi Shastri is not one to lightly say that Washington Sundar has more ability than me when at the age of 21. I think that is true. He's not a bowler, but he's extraordinary. He's a very, very good player. I think he would walk into the England team right now, Washington Sundar. If what's his name, Dan Lawrence can walk into the England team, then Washington Sundar would walk into the England team right now at 6.
Yeah, Washington Sundar would walk into almost any team now. I think that's the level of. He's giving you assured runs. He can even bowl well enough to take 3 wickets, 2-3 wickets in each innings. Why would this is like gold, man. Any team would lap this up. And unfortunately, India may not have a place for him in the next test. Of course, that's because the next set of tests are going to be in England and all that. But even then, even if India, everyone was fit and they were playing a test in India, I doubt if he's going to get a chance. Jadeja would probably walk back in.
Yeah, of course. Definitely.
Yeah.
You basically Ashwin and Jadeja are still in a different class.
Yeah.
But basically, you see, Washington Sundar is 21 years old. Ashwin is 34 years old. And Washington Sundar has 4-5 years to sort of become a better off-spin bowler. And if he becomes a better off-spin bowler, Ashwin's spot is his for the taking. There isn't another off-spinning all-rounder on the horizon, as far as I can tell, like who can compete for Ashwin's slot, to bat at 8.
What the hell are you saying, dude? Krishnappa Gautam, man. 9.5 crores. CSK bought him.
Dude, but first of all, I don't agree with this. First of all, I don't agree with this classification itself. I don't think we should be looking at Washington Sundar as an all-rounder because he's a tremendous batsman. And I think we should harness his ability as a batsman rather than telling him you go to domestic cricket, improve your off-spin. Why? You just continue being this terrific batsman, maybe bat up the order for TN. Ashwin has even said he should probably bat in the top 3. And then come back, try and make yours, find a spot in the middle order.
I just wanted to touch upon this a little bit because I heard a lot of commentary about his first class game for Tamil Nadu being in 2017-18. And in fact, Sunny was mentioning, what kind of a team where, you score 150 and you get dropped and stuff like that. like the way they were talking about it as if, Washington Sundar had just played one game or whatever. He played quite a few games and the average is less than 30 for Tamil Nadu at that time at least, which is not to say that, he's not good or whatever. But it is not like he was just let go without a reason. There was a reason, and he was given a decent number of chances. And then, he's probably subsequently improved a lot or whatever. But my point is that whatever we've seen of him in Test cricket has been impressive so far. But to attain a certain level of consistency, you just need the grind. Somebody needs to grind it out for a while, in the sense that I know he's played 3 very, very impressive innings and 1 very impressive cameo. And it's very easy to get carried away with the sort of first principles that you see here, because his technique is so good. And like KD mentioned, he has so much time to play fast bowling. He's never really, found wanting for pace, so to say. All that is fine. But at the end of the day, you need to go through the grind of, batting innings after innings, match after match, for you to establish yourself as a batsman. Otherwise, his only hope is to be a bowling all-rounder. And his bowling is not bad. It's not a test class at the moment. But like KD mentioned, in 3-4 years, if he can develop, that's probably his best hope. I'm not sure. For you to play as a batsman, whether it is in test cricket or domestic, you need to have a sort of extended period where you score runs, right? It's not just about the impressive innings.
Surely Indian team management is not as short-sighted as the fans are, because we have seen Vihari bat well in West Indies and in Australia and stuff. So I really don't think that his position when he comes back will be in question, especially since we are going to England. So, and the one thing about all these 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, we have been mesmerized by the Tendulkar myth, that 17-year-old, next 17-year-old that will come and dazzle the world. That all happens, I think, once in many million occurrences. The best path is like you grind it out and then you move up levels. And in a country like India, it's always going to be tough because there's huge competition. So if you are at that level, that Washington Sundar is, and his capability is proven, I don't see why after like a 3-year grind, in 3 or 2-year grind at the Ranji level, where if he outperforms, he can come back, man. Just like Mayank Agarwal had a chance, he will have a chance as well. And and we should not lose fact of the bigger narrative, right? Like hang on.
Are we spending so much time talking about how Washington Sundar might not play Test cricket again? He was not even part of the squad in Australia.
Exactly where I was coming to, because
we have Axar Patel, who's probably not going to play next match.
Because if we dial this conversation back to December, first week of December, we would not be even talking about Washington Sundar and Natarajan, man. Like who thought that they will even play Test cricket?
Siraj is not going to play the next Test matches. Everyone is fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is some. That's both good and bad, in the sense that if you are as good as Siraj and you can't play the next Test for sure, my goodness.
Kohli and Shastri will shock all you people by picking Washington Sundar for the World Test Championship final, and he will win it, and then I will tell you about it.
They'll probably pick him as an opener.
I was just thinking that
because anyway, Rohit Sharma will get injured. After IPL.
After IPL, correct.
Plus, away series, Sena, he'll not go, no.
Yeah, correct. Sena, he's useless. Yeah.
He'll smartly pick and be the Bradman at home.
I was just thinking that if the 4 of us were ever in charge of like selecting the Indian Test squad and in Test team, the match is about to start at 11 o'clock in the morning or 10:30 in the morning or whenever, everybody is waiting. And they will have to tell the people to wait because we are still discussing like one position. We will never ever finish a selection.
New Zealand, the one team that, through this World Test Championship cycle, at least the one team that India couldn't beat, but they get another chance in that one match.
Sure. Kyle Jamieson is going to get 15 wickets. Okay, and somehow we are going to...
Yeah, after being picked for RCB, his confidence must have just...
Yeah, that is one thing that we fail to consider. Like post-IPL, people coming out of IPL, how in what shape they will be physically and mentally is something that nobody knows. And so all hopes are pinned on Kyle James, RCB only right now. if anyone can make India win this World Test Championship, it is RCB. Because how they
So you're
handle
saying
how
you
they
have to-
handle Kyle Jamieson will determine the outcome of this entire thing. Because
Okay,
we can handle Saudi, Bolt and Wagner, but this guy comes in and whatever he's like an Akshar Patel over a year, man. Akshar Patel has been touching everything and it's gold. Kyle Jamieson has been doing that for a year. It is really mad what he has done. So I think
And
we
Kyle
have to control
Jamison's
that.
body is probably laboratory built for Lords. If that match is in Lords, then he's probably like custom made for
Yeah.
that kind of a
He
condition.
will pitch it on half volley length and it'll be a bouncer. I don't know what the hell is wrong with that guy. So we need to immediately control that situation. And RCB tactically bought him for like 3,000 crores. So that's a money well spent, I thought. So since they bought him, I think he's been getting hit all over
He's
the
been
park.
getting hit by Aaron Finch, who they sold.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, I think now he's starting to remember that he's playing for New Zealand in New Zealand grounds. So there are 45-meter sixes. So yeah, we are all on the right path. We just have to see off, Wagner from 30 overs till whatever overs we bat, and we are set. I think that's it. That would be the end of it. We will kind of win it. Is my theory, but let's see.
Should the finals be over 3 tests, or you're totally fine with 1 test?
I'm fine with 1 test also, but because we have to end this test madness. I mean, we are playing far too many tests. I think real cricket is getting impacted, and we should play 4 to 5 tests a year. That's the most.
Ashoka, at least for a few years, let's enjoy. After that, I'm sure they will have multiple IPL seasons, multiple this, multiple that. Why you don't let us enjoy for at least a little bit?
Man, Test cricket was supposed to die in 2008 when IPL started. This is now 12 years. I'm just waiting here. Come on, die, man. Please.
I mean, these days they're playing like 3 test matches on the same day.
Yeah, what the hell
This
is
a sign
wrong
of
with
death.
This is not the sign of death. It is now recovering and it is growing muscles. England are playing 17 tests in this year. I mean, if England fans are there around, they'll be like, where is the 100 that was promised? We are playing 17 tests. This is obscene. So I think we should have only 1 finals. We should not even have that 1 final. We should give the cup to India and we should close this nonsense.
I'm completely lost in this whole T20 conversation. I did not even know that Jamieson has been acquired by RCB. I don't know who plays for what team or anything like that.
That is because I think that is because you were busy. Decoding what lengths a bowler should bowl in tests. Nobody cares. Even bowlers don't care. They are all bowling whatever lengths they please, and they are getting wickets. So
correct. They're just randomly running in.
Yeah, you should clue in more to real cricket, where Akila Dhananjaya got a hat trick, and next over he got hit for 6 sixes. This is the peak of cricket right now.
I watched like 1 over of some match. I think it was the PSL. I'm not sure, but it was hilarious because it had Chris Gale and one batsman called Azam Khan, who looks like, if you take Parthiv Patel and inflate him with a bicycle bump, you get Azam Khan. And you had these two guys batting together, and they tried to run too. It was really, really funny. That is all I remember about that. And then after that 1 hour, I switched it off. I mean,
it is really funny.
The 2 is like the unicorn in T20 cricket. 2s are hit less frequently than any other, than 4s or 6s in T20.
Anyway, so with that, we will have plenty of chances to talk about T20 over the next few months. The limited overs leg of the tour is going to start, and then of course the most important tournament in the history of mankind will start, and then Ashoka will.
You mean the West Indies Sri Lanka Test series?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course not.
And then
The last time Sri Lanka was in West Indies, we had a cracker of a series. So if anybody missed that, please do not miss this series.
So, but last time it was a draw. I think Sri Lanka pulled off a draw, right? Last time.
Yeah, they won. I mean, 1 draw, 1 win, 1 loss. Yeah, they pull off a really good cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So West Indies Sri Lanka is the thing, but of course you can watch whatever you want to watch. This is a free world, so please go ahead and watch the other thing that we will talk about later. All right, guys. Yeah, anything else to add to finish?
Yeah, Ashoka is going to watch like some people wearing some yellow pajamas and gray hair and big pot belly.
Gray hair is crucial. Yeah.
Big pot belly. This is what they said about CSK. I mean,
So it's like Mahendra Singh Dhoni is now like a early 40s chubster. He's not even like a mid 30s chubster.
What, is he still not retired? Is he still playing?
He never retires for CSK. Legends don't retire. Don't you know all this?
Legends don't retire. Age is just a number. You guys have not clearly been watching anything.
Fans
that
just
is
get
relevant.
tired whether
Dude,
legends retire.
Mahesh, I'm sure there are more people who watched Dhoni entering the stadium than there are people who watched this fourth test. So I think...
Of course. These guys know. This is why I said the test season is over, and I'm really happy about this. Because I really can't take any more tests anymore in life, man. Seriously. Please stop playing tests. Please stop watching tests.
Okay. So if you have fan code subscription, I assume you're not going to watch the Afghanistan-New Zealand test. Zimbabwe test.
Of course I will watch, because even tests are better than working. But
yeah, that is the headline for this podcast. Even tests are better than working. All right. So thanks, guys, for joining. It was a fun couple of series actually, back to back. And hopefully we will join soon. We have, of course, other features that will continue, and we have conversations going on with writers and cricketers, and hopefully we'll have a few other features planned during the next few months. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank
you.
That brings us to the end of another episode of the 81 All Out podcast. If you enjoy the work we do, please support us via coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/81allout. You can find the link in the show notes, and it will allow you to either set up a recurring monthly payment or throw in a one-time contribution. Also, please subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever else you prefer. It would be great if you could leave a rating and a review so that more people can find us. As always, we would love to hear your thoughts on the work we do. So please send us your feedback.